Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to your flipped classroom lesson on the mechanics of music. Just to make sure, this goes with packet 1-2. So this is the first packet for Unit 2. And we're about to learn a little bit how to read music. So get excited. Here we go. So your objective for this lesson is going to be students will be able to identify and define the basic mechanics of music. And as you're writing that down, what we're talking about with mechanics is just the way that things work, the way that each piece works together. So we're talking about the actual sheet music when we look at a piece of music. First up, this is a super important definition. You've got the definition of rhythm. What is rhythm? Rhythm is the organization of sound through time. The organization of sound through time. This is the one definition that you'll get all semester that I am super picky about. You always have to know it word for word. You can't mess up any part of it. You can't replace any words with anything else. Just have this on your paper and make sure that you memorize this and that you always know it. Rhythm is the organization of sound through time. So what this means, if we put it in like plain English, rhythm tells us when to sing. It tells us how long to hold a note. It tells us when not to sing, when to stop singing. It's all about timing. So that's a really important part of this, is just it's about time and when to do things. Here we go. So you have this big table in your packet, and there's a column for the symbol, there's a column for the name, and there's a column for the definition. So here we go with staff. So under the name column, you're going to write staff. The symbol for it is just these 5 horizontal lines. So all you need to do is draw 5 straight lines. Yours will be much prettier. The definition is 5 horizontal lines that form the lines and spaces for music. So next lesson we're going to start talking about notes, and when we're looking at notes, we're putting those notes on a staff. So we're creating those lines that are going to make a home for the notes. Your next symbol, this is what we call a system. So you'll notice that there are 2 staves that are connected here. And the thing that's really important, and the thing that a lot of students forget to draw in this picture, this bracket is not so important. We sometimes see it, we sometimes don't. But the thing that is really important is this vertical line right here that connects these 2 staves. So you'll notice they're not just floating separately, but they are actually connected. Your definition, so word for word, what you need to know, you've got multiple staves that are connected. And what this does is it shows us that notes happen simultaneously. So while one person might be singing some music notes that are up here, another person will be singing music notes that are down here, right? So they line up and they happen at the same time simultaneously. This you don't need to write down. This is just important information to know. A system might have 2 staves, it might have 3 staves, it might have 4 staves. We'll do mostly things with 2 staves and 3 staves in our class. But if we're talking about like an orchestra or a band, you might have 100 staves if you have that many different parts going on. It just kind of depends. Here's an example. Again, you don't need to draw this, anything like that, but you'll notice that we have lots of different instruments listed here. Each instrument has their own staff, so this is the staff for the flutes, for the oboes, for the clarinets, etc., etc. And you'll notice here that all of this is all happening at the same time, right? So while the flutes are doing this, the oboes doing this, the clarinets are doing this, bassoons are doing this, horns are doing this, and on down the line. It's all happening at one time. Excuse me. Your next symbol, this is what we call a measure. For the definition, this is 1 unit of music. It is a way that we measure music. And it ends at a bar line. For the picture, you're going to draw your staff again, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 horizontal lines. Don't draw this little box in the middle, he's not important. But what is important is these 2 vertical lines on the sides, so right here and right here. Okay, so this is a measure. So just in the same way that you measure distance in feet or inches or miles, we measure music in measures. Somebody was really super creative when they came up with that word. Your next symbol is bar line. This is a vertical line that separates measures of music. Again, don't worry about this little box in the middle, but you do need to draw a staff. You should draw those bar lines, and that is exactly what we're talking about right here, is these 2 vertical lines. Those are bar lines. So this would then be the measure, and then these would end up being your bar lines. Treble clef. Treble clef. This signifies that we are using higher pitches. So when we see on a piece of music that we have a treble clef, we generally see the ladies singing with treble clef, or we have guys with the higher voices, like myself. I generally sing with a treble clef. So when we divide into voice parts, that will make more sense. We'll have sopranos, altos, and tenors will all sing on the treble clef. This can sometimes be difficult for students to draw, so here's how I do it. I like to draw a tall, skinny J, curve around a little bit to the right, curve around a lot to the left, and then curly cue that in. This is beautiful. I've been practicing. I can't wait to see your treble clefs and how beautiful they are. And then, since we have a clef that tells us to use higher pitches, we also need a clef that tells us to use lower pitches. This is what we call the bass clef. And all it does is it signifies for us that we're using lower pitches. Kind of looks like a sideways frowny face, but just make sure that you start with like this bigger dot portion here, and then it curves around to the right, and then you've got 2 smaller dots off to the side. And there's your bass clef. That is it for your flipped lesson. Don't forget that when you come into class next time, you're going to have an entrance ticket. It's just a way of me verifying that you did or did not watch the video. So anything in this presentation would be fair game for that. And it counts in the same way that our exit slips have up until this point. It's just a way of me keeping track of who knows what's going on and who doesn't. That's it, folks. Love you, bye. See you later.